and show you where you are. Have you seen Star Wars, Carlos?
Yeah, I'm not an expert, but I do watch it.
Okay, so Star Wars, you know, Obi-Wan Kenobi and this is a better one. Um, and Luke Skywalker, right? So Luke Skywalker, he's hanging out in Tatooine and he's living with his aunt and uncle. He's getting like just doing life as like baby Luke Skywalker. Everything's taken care of. But he's got this like call on his heart that there's got to be something else out there for him, right? And he doesn't know what it is or what it's going to look like. And there's a little bit of fear because like life is easy for Luke as he's hanging out with his aunt and uncle and then the droids and all that stuff until adventure starts to creep around. And adventure shows up differently for every guy. And if you stay stuck at your grandma's house, getting just life like handed to you on a platter, you miss out on the greatest adventure of your masculine journey, which is becoming the hero you're meant to be. And
Mm.
that's the truth. And so, just like Luke Skywalker and you are in this land of the normal world, the comfort up here, and you like everything's predictable. Everything's predictable for you. Everything, and it will remain predictable until you say yes into the unknown. And the unknown is crossing this threshold. This is where Luke Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi intersect. And Obi-Wan Kenobi is the older man in his life, the mentor in his life, or the group of men in his life that says, hey, listen, Luke, just by the way, I want you to know something. This burning desire in your heart to be a great leader, a powerful force for good, to go start that business, to go pursue the woman, to go build whatever it is, like that calling inside your heart, it's going to require adventure. And there's this wonderful world that's all unknown, but you're going to have to do it. And so Obi-Wan Kenobi planted this little deposit in Luke Skywalker's mind all about the Force. Shows him the lightsaber, and Luke's like, oh my God, there's this whole other world there. It's awesome. And so you feel like this masculinity starts to rise in you as you spend time with other men. And you're like, okay. And he goes back to the farm, talks to his aunt and uncle, and he's like, oh my God, there's a whole other world. And did you know the lightsaber and and all this stuff? He's excited, right? And his grandma and his aunt and his uncle is like, no, 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 you don't want that. Stay here. It's safe. It's comfortable. And so he literally pushes. He's like, okay, maybe I'll stay. And here's what happens. And the movie does a great job of displaying this. And so the battle that Luke first denies of like going and joining the Rebel Alliance and all that stuff, it ends up coming to his doorstep and it kills everyone around him. And so that's the metaphor. It kills his aunt and uncle. If you remember the movie, the first one, before the movie's turned into shit, but the first movie, it kills everyone around him. They set his aunt and uncle on fire. And so the darkness comes to him because he denies the battle. And so, what happens to a man if he doesn't go out on an adventure on his own is he ends up bringing that darkness home.
Mm.
And so, as much as your aunt and uncle or your grandmother want to keep you protected, that is the desire of the feminine to nurture, protect, and love. Over time, that comfort that your grandmother is giving you will rot the household that you're in.
Mm.
You will become angry, resentful, frustrated. You'll become a dark, dark, dark like aspect on that house. And it's not because you want the best, and it's not because of who she is, but it's because you have to go out and learn how to develop your own relationship with your strength, anger, ferocity. You got to have other men in your life that challenge you, confront you. So Luke leaves on this journey. He leaves Tatooine because everything gets set on fire and he has to. And he starts to see what the world is all about. And so he runs into all of his allies, alliances, the Wookiee, Han Solo, and he goes on all these adventures. And every adventure, he learns something else about himself. And the beauty of this is that through this development of personal development, as he's diving deep into ultimately the death and rebirth of who he is, the pit, remember, I think it's episode 3 or 6, whatever the order is, he meets Yoda. Yoda is like his mentor in his process. And Yoda's like, you got to go into the pit and go face the thing you're most afraid of. And if you remember the whole climax of the movie, the aha moment, Luke's greatest fear was what he was going to end up like his father, Darth Vader. Remember this part? So his biggest fear is that he's going to turn into this horrible version of himself that's like the force of darkness, Darth Vader. And in that combat they have inside of, I forget the planet they were on, but Luke comes out, he says, I have to face my father. This is, by the way, not only the metaphor for the movie and the human experience, but it's every man's journey. Your greatest battle Carlos, I'm going to tell this to you, and I don't know much about your past or your history, of the fact that you mentioned that your grandmother and your mother, but you said nothing about your father. And based on who I attract as a man, I attract a lot of men who don't have relationships with dads. So what I can tell you, based on my own experience and having coached 1,000 men at this point, your greatest battle in life that you got to go do on your own, away from the comfort of your grandmother's great cooking, is you have to go face the reality of who your father really is and was, because that is a reflection of who you are as a man. You will never be able to do that under the comfort of your mother's or your grandmother's house. In fact, she will corrupt you unknowingly. She will corrupt you from being the best version of yourself, because your real battle, just like in Star Wars, is about recognizing the fact that you are more like your dad than you think. And it may terrify you to even hear that. Terrify you. But until you recognize masculinity for really what it is a primal, it is seductive, it is violent, it is assertive, it is aggressive. And inside of all of us, like, lies the goodness, the greatness, and the darkness. Every single one of us has like a Darth Vader inside of us. And until we come to terms with that, until we really face that reality, we will create more problems in the world. But you can only find that when you leave the world of the feminine. And so part of what's supposed to happen for every young man is right about here. Bring it back to Luke Skywalker. Right about here, the father is supposed to say, okay, you got mom and grandma that are really comfortable here, but you're a man, you're not a woman. And so we got to rip comfort from your life, because all things in life for men are earned. Every motherfucking day, you have to earn the seat at the table as a man. There is no free meal. I've gone hungry so many times I can't even count it. I'm sure every guy here has as well. There is no free, warm, laundry done. Like, there is none of that in the world of masculinity. None. Every single day, you fight the demons and the darkness in your head, and you decide to do better than you did the day before. Like, that is the battle. That is the fight. That's what we can do the rest of our lives. And as soon as you understand that, life becomes a whole lot easier. But the father's supposed to tell you that lesson right here. And this is like between 12 and 17 years old. The father takes you from the comfort of the woman and says, all right, son, let me teach you the world of men. First thing we're going to do is we're going to cut that umbilical cord that you have with mom. You grew up loved and nurtured and cared for, but we're going to cut that umbilical cord because we need to sever the tie with the feminine. We got to pull you away from the world and put you on this adventure so that you can realize the strength that is inside, the strength that is truly masculine, so that you can go back to the world that you came from and give your gift. And so this journey of Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader and Han Solo and all of the Force and all that, eventually, if you watch enough of the series, and it starts to get really crappy at the end, but you watch enough of the series over time, the story is he goes back and gives his gift. And so the very last installment of Luke Skywalker, over several decades of the franchise, he goes back to the beginning and he teaches another Jedi exactly the ways of the Force. And so he goes back to the known world, and he becomes the mentor, like right here at this threshold, for somebody else. This is the fulfillment of your masculine journey. This is the call on your heart. This is what every man is designed to do. It is predictable. There's a pattern in it. Anytime you are feeling lost or looking in your life, you just got to realize you're somewhere along this journey. And if you stay stuck in the world of the known, you will never, ever, ever, ever get the revelation, the death and the rebirth, the transformation. You will never build your allies and alliances. You will never understand what it really means to be a man. You will miss out on the greatest gifts in the entire world, which is giving your gift to the world, because you stay stuck in the comfort.
Boom.
Yeah, well, that was pretty awesome. I mean, I know the Star Wars story and everything, but I like just like connecting my situation with this story. It was pretty amazing, man. Thank you so much. It makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I didn't mention my dad because he lives like 1 hour and a half from me, so that's I don't see him that often. Tomorrow I'm gonna visit him actually. But yeah, I'm gonna be honest. Like my dad haven't done that much good work, like teaching me masculine stuff. Like for example, I learned to drive by myself. I paid someone. I started working, and I've learned a lot of things by myself. I've learned a lot of things from my grandmother and mother, right? She's the closest family I have, right? So that's the reason why. But man, I agree with everything, and I know that this is what I need to do, right? Because I already lived by myself 2 years back, so I know it was pretty hard, and I like it. I like that it was pretty hard, and I think I will have to do it again. That's the only way I'm gonna grow as a person, as a man. So I'm gonna take the decision, and it was pretty awesome, and I really appreciate it.